So how did I make 10K in 30 days while working a full-time job? I'm about to show you exactly how I did it, the systems, the processes that I used so that you can copy absolutely everything and do the exact same, if not better. If you have a doubt about online business or have been in the stage where you're not sure about what to do, this video is going to change your mind. What's up guys, my name's Sam and I am an SMMA owner that has recently left their full-time job in teaching to go all in on their business. I was just another person that was in the 9 to 5 and has now broken out of that to grow and scale my business to 6 figures. I always hoped and believed that people would document their journeys around business, and so I'm here doing that for you so that you can learn from all the lessons and the mistakes that I make so that you can get there 10 times faster. But today I'm going to show you exactly what I did while I was working my full-time job as a teacher that allowed me to scale my business to 10K a month. And here's your proof guys, 10.4K in exactly 30 days. I'm not sure if you can see that on screen there, feel free to pause it, but that there is £7,636.58, which is roughly 10.4K, and I made that from the 1st of May to the 31st of May. And I did this working nights, days, lunch times, breaks. It was a graft. But I'm going to show you how to make this easier than what I did it so that you're going to be in an even better position than what I was. And this was all while keeping my full-time job. So by the end of this video, you'll have the exact blueprint that you can audit on your whole business, or if you're wanting to start a business, so that you can know from A to Z what you need to do, get your business and make 10K a month while working a full-time job. So I'm going to be breaking this down into 4 parts. First, how to find time that doesn't actually exist. Second, the niche or service that made me over 10K a month. Third, my client acquisition system. And fourth, how to deliver results without burning out. Let me be real with you. I was working probably 40 hours, if not more, at my full-time job. And then on top of that, I was probably working another 40 on my business. I had to communicate, I had responsibilities. If that sounds familiar to you, then you're going to relate to this video a lot. So here are the 3 things that allowed me to find the time that I felt didn't exist at first. So the first thing is when I came home from work, I got straight onto the laptop and just did business work non-stop. And I would work from 5 o'clock all the way till 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And that would be my deep work block. And then I would go to sleep, wake up at 7 AM, off to my full-time job again, and then do it. Now, looking back, obviously that's not manageable. And my advice to you is if you are working a full-time job, try and get a full-time job where you are able to access to a laptop, where you're not going to be pestered too much, and you can sort of sneak off. I shouldn't say that, but yeah. And that way you're getting paid for your full-time job, but also building your business up. So that's the first thing. The second thing was my Google Calendar. My Google Calendar was a minefield. I'm actually going to put this up on the screen. Just to give you an idea of what my Google Calendar looked like after I'd finished my full-time work, it looked something like that. And I basically had no room for error. I had a fragment of time and I had to make the most of it. And so that was the first thing that I did, was I made sure that I optimized my time as much at work as possible, and then when I came straight home, just getting straight to work. The second thing was actually blocking and time blocking stuff out in my calendar. So I knew I needed to do certain things on certain times, where then it allowed me to have routines and systems, allowed me to not think so much about what I needed to do, and instead, because I had it there, I just had it ready to go and I knew what I was doing straight away. The final thing, and this is the biggest thing and the thing that I love to do the most. So this here, if you know me well, is a daily planner. And what this allows me to plan everything out on paper. And I know what you're thinking, Sam, you've got a calendar already, so why do you need that? Well, what this allowed me to do was write everything down, and I would take the sheet of paper wherever I went. And what it has time increments. And so just like when you're at school, when you have a timetable and you've got a lesson period 1 at 9 AM and then lesson period 2 at 10 AM and so on, it's exactly like that. And then I had my priority tasks, the things that were non-negotiables that I had to get done. And I held myself accountable to that stuff like that because I knew I needed to get that done. And so that is the first thing that you can do and you need to do to be able to get to the stages. You need to do a time audit. So first off, to go through your whole day, look what you can remove, and then obviously replace that with the work that you know you need to get done. Now, obviously it's going to take work. If you think it's not, then you're naive to the fact that you think you're going to get a quick win, which I'm sorry, but that's just not the case. And so if you are watching that video, then you can get lost because it's not going to happen. So part 2 is all about picking the right niche for your service. And this is obviously going in the mind of SMMA. and helping businesses get more leads, make more money, get more appointments booked, whatever it is. And so people always think there's like some magic niche. And at the end of the day, go with what you have the most experience in, because that's going to lend you to have the most ammo to be able to, number one, close deals, number two, get people through the door for the business owners, and number three, on top of that, you're going to have the most confidence and conviction within that niche. So for example, for me, it was gyms, because I'd already been in the gyms, I'd already been to the gym loads, I speak to gym owners all the time, and so I just thought, I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to go with it. That's the second most important thing. You need to stick to stuff. Whatever niche it is, you stick to it, because you'll learn and understand systems, processes, the ad copy that works, the creatives that work. Because if you change niches and jump to something else, you've got to learn that all again. Some of those skills are transferable, but most of them you have to learn from scratch again. And you don't want to be doing that, because you want to stack your wins, build systems so that you're going to be in an even stronger position when you get to, for example, 6 figures. So how did I stack my service? Well, when I was doing this, I charged upfront service fee or setup fee, and that was 2K at the time. 2K, and then on top of that as well, there was the pay per close. I didn't have any sort of monthly recurring revenue at that time, so it was just paid in fulls, and then it was the commission. And we signed 5 clients within that month, which got us to that stage. Now, some of them obviously were payment plans, some of them were paid in fulls, and then we got there towards the end of the month with all the commission stuff as well. And so I'd recommend going pay per close or a performance basis first with a small setup fee if you're starting brand new, but obviously as you get better, you can start to up that setup fee or service fee even more. Now, client acquisition systems. This is probably the most important thing, because if you don't have a top of funnel of new leads or new appointments coming through for your own agency or your own business, then you're not going to grow, you're not going to make that 10K while you're working a full-time job. And so the most important thing here is you need to identify leverage. What is leverage? Leverage essentially is how much do you get per hour. So for example, right now while I'm recording these videos, I've got leverage on my outbound team because they are already dialing while I'm recording these videos. My closer is working on a sales call right now. That is more leverage. And so the more leverage you can stack within your business, the easier it is. And what you need to understand while working a full-time job is you need to create as much leverage as possible, because you're obviously committed to something, but you also want to grow and scale this business. And so with leverage comes systems and standard operating procedures that you must create. So whoever comes into the business can read the SOPs and the systems, and they know and understand exactly what to do straight away. So this is where I would look to run some form of automation. So a cold outbound system, an SMS system, but there's nothing better, in all honesty, than running ads and cold calling. If you have the capital to run ads, I would run ads and learn straight away, because yes, it might take you maybe £2,000, £3,000 or dollars to get your first deal closed from that. But in saying that, ROI on it's going to be huge, because you're going to learn so much. People think that with ads it's throwing money away, and while you might think that, what it really is just you learning and getting better, so that when you've spent, for example, 10K on ads, you've got 40K ROI. That's a 4x return right there. And so run ads and start cold calling. Ads is one to many, which means that it's very, very high leverage, because loads of people are going to be seeing it. Obviously, the more you spend on ads, the more leads you'll have come through, but you need to learn and understand systems beforehand. What I would do first is run some form of SMS or cold email, and also cold call. Once you close your first deal, then from that, use a percentage of that money, so $500 for example, to then run ads and test stuff to see what works the best. Now, you're going to have to do it on a small budget, which will take time for you to know what stuff is working and what isn't, but what that will allow you to do is have leverage on your time. And then when leads come through, you need to call them within the minute. Check number one, they're qualified. Number two, you get a 391% return if you call leads within the first minute. With the dialing, you need to time block this out. Like I said at the start, you need to put certain places or things in place where you think, yep, okay, I'm going to do that then, I'm going to do that then, I'm going to do that then. Now, when it got to the stage where my business was growing and scaling a fair bit, I brought in some outbound appointment setters that were placed into the business, so that, for example, while I was teaching on my full-time job, my team were dialing and getting meetings booked for my closer, and my closer was closing sales calls while I was teaching PE lessons, which I know sounds crazy when I say it out loud now, but that's the type of leverage that I created to get my business to 5 figures consistently over the last 3 months. Now, part 4 of this is the delivery without burnout. And this is one of the toughest things to manage, because you need to have some sort of reset or recharge time. But it's really hard to do that when you're balancing a full-time job and the business. And I learned this the hard way. It wasn't nice at all. And the harsh reality is you're going to be unbalanced. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of stuff, seeing family, seeing friends. That's a no-go. If you're serious about growing and scaling a business, you need to drop a lot of stuff, because unfortunately, while you're balancing both things, it's so difficult to do. I was balancing my health and fitness by going to the gym and running. I was balancing my relationship, I was balancing a full-time job and growing and scaling a business all at the same time. And that was difficult and it's not easy. But if you dedicate the time, and I always just had the mindset of this isn't forever. This isn't forever. I only have to do this temporary so that when I leave my full-time job and I work full-time in business, yes, I know I'll be working more, but I have leverage now on my time. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want, which is awesome. And I never thought I would be able to say that. And so I'm so excited for the journey that comes ahead. But for you, you need to create systems for your service delivery. So you need to have trackings of what you need to do within your service delivery that's going to make sure that your clients get consistent results. So for me, I have a checklist of everything that I need to do for when I'm doing client setup. The exact same for when I'm running the client's ads. And you need to do the same thing, because what you have down, it means less in there. And if you have less in here, it means you'll be less prone to burnout. Now, burnout, I'm going to be honest with you, probably will happen at some point because you're managing so many things at once. But in saying that, there is ways to manage it. 3 ways that I use to manage it. On a Sunday, if I really felt like I was really struggling, I would just sleep for as long as I could. Some days I would sleep from go to bed at midnight, and then I would wake up, for example, at 3 in the afternoon. I would have around about 15 hours of sleep. I know, because my body was just so run down, but I needed that. And then I would use the rest of that day as well, just to recharge, watch some YouTube, watch a film, something like that, because sometimes you need that stuff. And so you will probably get to a stage where you get something like that and have something like that. And I want to say right now, that's completely natural. The second thing that you can do is obviously time block tasks, but also have breaks. Have little periods where you just know you can recharge and reset. For me, what I love to do is just go out for a little walk, listen to a podcast and recharge and reset. That was something that really helped me to understand and know my why a little bit more and get a little bit clearer. And then finally, something recently that I discovered was all about your mindset. And this was all about having an abundance mindset. This was a game changer for me, and this is what allowed me to now make 11.5k US dollars within 6 days. And this is the thing that's been the game changer for me within the business, for my team. And this is something that I'm going to transfer to my team, because I think this is the biggest thing. And people always think that mindset is just this load of rubbish because they want the systems. I was the same. But what I've now discovered is having the correct abundance mindset of knowing money is abundant, appointments are abundant, service delivery is awesome, all of this stuff. You have these beliefs, you stick with these beliefs, and you transcend into this different person, this new identity. The identity of the person that's making 5 figures a month while working a full-time job. You do that, you will be at 5 figures a month, making 10k a month while working your full-time job. Look, at the start of this year, of January of 2025, when I spoke with my operations manager and he said to me that we're going to be making consistent 10k months, I thought, you're bloody joking. And when it started to become a reality while I was still working my full-time job, I was in disbelief. I couldn't quite believe what I'd done. And now I'm at the stage where we're above that. We're now making consistent multi 5-figure months and scaling further and further to 6 figures a month, and then eventually to 7 figures a month. And so if you like this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. It's up to you, I'm not going to force you to, but I always wish that somebody showed and presented their journey from start to where they're going to get to. And so I want to help you guys out as much as possible to learn from the mistakes that I've made and give you as much advice and help as possible so that you can implement this stuff and crush it within your business and get out. If you're somebody that wants to not work a 9 to 5 anymore, then get out of that and go all in on business. So with that in mind, guys, remember, always, always, always take action.